Hello and welcome to the third episode of Creator Spotlight Season 3 from The Interface. Creator Spotlight is our series where we talk to creators about what they make and do and how they got started. Today I'm joined by Tom Matthews. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you.
Hi. Yeah, thanks for joining me on the show. It's good to have you on. And for sort of, you make YouTube videos, on YouTube obviously, specifically about a lot of gaming stuff, but just if you just want to tell the audience a little bit about yourself, because some people might not know who you are. So.
Yeah, of course. I imagine there's a fair few people that won't know who I am. But so channel name is Vintage Matthews. I've been making content for almost 10 years now. I think it's the 10th anniversary of the channel this October.
Yeah.
And it's mainly been themed around automotive content within video games, some real life, but mostly done in the sort of digital gaming sphere, focusing on games like Forza and most recently Grand Theft Auto. I imagine most people would probably know me for my Grand Theft Auto Top Gear series, which I've recently just brought back. That's a very basic summary of what I've done. There's been loads of other stories and alleyways that I've tried to dive into, but no, that's the basic gist of everything.
Yeah, congrats on 10 years. It's a hard milestone to cover, get to. I've only spoken to a few people myself that have managed to do something for that long. So it's impressive.
It's tricky because it started off as a hobby, and it still very much is. I'd love to do it as like a full-time career. I think I imagine a lot of guests that come on here probably say that. The goal for me is to get 100,000 subscribers on the channel. It has been ever since I first made it, to get the plaque. But it started off as what was a hobby when I was in, I think I was in my GCSEs. Then when I went to university and I sort of had more free time, I was able to really capitalize on content creation because it was just, I did my course and then I was just back in my dorm in first year and I just didn't leave, being a very antisocial person. I did eventually spread my wings and become more social over the other years at uni. But no, it's always been a hobby first and foremost. But it would be amazing to eventually make it a career, especially after the sort of 10 years of chipping away at making all sorts of content.
Yeah, definitely. The website, this podcast is Behind the Interface. I've been doing that for over 10 years now, and it's definitely still something that's a hobby. It's, as I said, I've only spoken to a few people myself that have done something for that long, and it's definitely credit, because you've got to keep sticking at it, even if it's costing you money to make and costing you a lot of time. So
no, it's tricky. I think cost is a big thing. Setting up a website, you've got to pay like for a domain. Like with a YouTube channel, you don't have that. But then for the video games, the console, the capture devices, it adds up. So it's tricky. It's a tricky market, and especially it's so saturated now at the moment. YouTube. It's a difficult one to break out into, but it's mad seeing how many channels these days have a couple of thousands of subscribers. Because when I started making content, 1,000 subscribers, I felt like Mr. Beast. Like, it was like, oh my god, this is amazing. But the amount of channels that I have, I think 1 million subscribers now is so big.
Yeah.
So it's a tricky market to break out into. But if you're enjoying it, then you're still winning, really.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's interesting. YouTube's one of those things that hasn't really sort of... A lot of things online just fade into the background. And YouTube's one of those things that has stayed around for a long time. And I hope it does, because it's great. But
it's I went to university to study television and broadcasting because I've always loved making or watching TV, and I've wanted to go making to TV shows. But the sort of space where TV is now, we've seen a sort of move into digital streaming. And YouTube has always been this sort of site that's uploaded funny cat videos years ago, and it was fail compilations, whatever. But people are now making genuinely insane quality content on, like, you got the likes of, I mentioned, Mr. Beast. You got the Sidemen here in the UK. These guys are making videos that are getting hundreds upon millions of views that traditional broadcasting companies cannot compete with. So this digital space is going to be around for a long time, and especially with the likes of TikTok now that's really blowing up. It does make you wonder, what will traditional broadcasting companies eventually do? Will they eventually all go online? Will TV still be a thing? So it's I think you're bob on the money. YouTube is going to be around for a lot longer.
Yeah, it's interesting. I wrote a piece for the website the other day talking about how broadcast TV watchers is just declining over time. And the last 2 years, it's had a massive spike just downwards, especially with even older people. So it's interesting.
It's a weird one because I think when BBC iPlayer came out, again, I think that was about 10 years ago or so now. It's probably older than that. That was seen as like this really weird concept because you could only watch the show on catch-up for 7 days, I think it was.
That's right.
So and it's so weird because you could download the videos to to the cloud on your iPlayer, and you could keep them for 30 days. I think they increased it from a week to 30 days, and now BBC iPlayer is, I think all the Top Gear episodes are on there, and they're like up there for a year.
They're still on there.
Yeah, great. Exactly. It's they are very much making that their own sort of archive of content. But I'll still maintain that buying stuff physically rather than buying it digitally will be the way to go because music's changed, bits are cut out, especially with Top Gear with all the the controversies. But there's numerous other shows as well. Other shows are available and other streaming services. I'm not sponsored by BBC.
Just jump back to YouTube. So what initially, what made you start doing it initially?
It was Top Gear. That's a lie. My YouTube channel originally started off as a sort of vlogging site, video streaming thingy.
Okay.
I made several YouTube channels before I eventually stuck with Vintage Matthews. I made Black Ops videos on Call of Duty, did zombies, Battlefield, Minecraft, like everyone did. And then eventually I stuck with this channel, named it Vintage Matthews, and I started making sort of vlogs, old school videos on my channel. Old school subscribers will know me for making a series called Toast, which was a really weird show. I was like 13, I think, 14, and I just wanted to make Top Gear, but I didn't have any cars, so I just had to do challenges without cars.
Right.
So I did like races on bicycles against buses, like public transport versus cycling. I tried to make like my own advert for a smoothie, and it was just really weird. Those videos have since been unlisted because I look back at them and I think, what was I doing?
Yeah.
So my channel really does start, if you look on it, with videos with GTA Top Gear, which I started when GTA 5 just came out, and the game is 10 years old this year.
It's surprising, isn't it?
It's mental. It's biggest video game I think of all time, bar like Tetris and Minecraft. But there's very few entertainment pieces of media that have a longevity of 10 years and that is still making so much revenue. But yes, that journey started with vlogs, and then I moved into gaming, and I've not really looked back. I've tried to sort of intertwine real life content with the channel because I don't want to be just labeled as just one thing. I don't think any creator really wants that. They want to sort of be who they are and not just be who they are on video as such. Because when we do film the Top Gear videos, it's a sort of hyper personality. I'm not that annoying all the time. It's only just to wind up my friends Sam and to wind up Ian as well. But start with video game content and still making it to this day.
Yeah. Did you have any like sort of concerns about using that brand name? Have you had any emails of sort of stop doing this?
Well, it's a tricky one because it's a parody. The show is primarily just a parody and a homage to the Top Gear show, which I think a lot of people, like 99% of comments, are like, "Oh my god, this is amazing! Keep going." And then you get the 1% that are like, "You're infringing rights on the BBC and stuff." And it's a bit of a grey area, but I will fully back myself in saying that it is a parody. We are not, selling merchandise on the show to sort of profit from that. Back when we made it with the Xbox 360 and the Xbox One, the show was still very much gameplay first, but with a Top Gear intro in it. Now it's very much a cinematic in-game. I don't know if machinima is still a word, but it's sort of like an animated show, but it's just using GTA to film it in. We did change to gear knobs about 6 years ago.
I remember, yeah.
And that was I just got a bit of cold feet with it all. And I just thought maybe I should do my own thing. And Sam, who I've worked with now for 100 years, I can't get rid of the guy. We sort of decided to make our own brand. So we ended up selling like stickers and our own merchandise to see how that would go. And that went well. It was nice to do that, but I felt that a lot of people didn't end up carrying on watching the channel. So, you know, the latest season now of GTA Top Gear, which has come back, it's sort of because, you know, clickbait's a big thing. And I don't want to say it is because of clickbait, but the name brings in more people. And it is primarily the same show. You know, we've changed it up a little bit. You know, we've gotten rid of the Stig type character. We've brought in our own character from Gear Knob. So it is very much like a hybrid of both shows. So yeah, it's something that does play in the back of my mind. The copyright's not the right word, but the sort of what if the BBC, the legality of it. But as I put in all my comments now, it's a parody. We don't intend on, you know, profiting off this show, like with merchandise and stuff. It's literally just a bit of fun with us playing GTA, and it's a tricky one to fully answer. I need to call my lawyer, but no, it's all in good faith and all in good fun, and it's to promote the show. Really, it's giving the show more exposure, if anything. Yeah,
it's very entertaining. You guys do a good job with it.
Thank you.
I meant to ask, like with the most recent episode you published, there's a lot of things in this show. There's a lot of things in the show that the characters do that, if you know about the game and you play it, you think it's going to be hard to get those characters to do those things, like certain animations. If you can reveal how you do it a little bit,
of course.
I'm intrigued on how you how you produce it all.
It used to be a much easier process. Because obviously on the 360 it was, as I mentioned, just gameplay, and then on the Xbox One, Rockstar brought in, for those who don't know, a Rockstar editor. It was a feature that allowed you to sort of record your gameplay, but then you could put sort of invisible cameras to make cinematic style of content, which is what most video game developers have. They have a toolkit that allows them to make cinematic trailers for their game. Forza has one, but they haven't flipping released an actual toolkit for us to use it, and I've been dying to get one for years. The Crew 2's got one, which allows you to sort of make cinematic content with cars. And there's a few other games I can't think of off the top of my head. So when it came to PC, this toolkit was able to sort of be modded in ways that you couldn't do on a console. Like there's a sort of bubble which the camera can stay within. And that's purely because of like rendering in the distance, like the quality of the assets, like it's massively reduced, so they don't want you to zoom into that and, you know, make the game look bad. But on PC, you can remove some of these boundaries. And with it being on PC as well, there's a big modding scene for GTA. So 5M is a massive client that people use for making usually roleplay servers, which are huge on Twitch and YouTube. But we've got our own server, which we just sort of use to do challenges that you couldn't do in the base game. And with that, we've got basically just a mod menu of animations that characters will do in cutscenes, or the AI will do if triggered. So we've got like a list of different animations. So if, you know, face palming or shaking your head, you can do that with the mod menu, and that sort of adds to a more, I don't know if realistic's the right word, but a more grounded reality of the video series. Because, you know, there's a lot of people that have made GTA Top Gear videos. We're not the only one, but we really pride ourselves on that sort of making sure that it's grounded within reality. Because obviously GTA's got a plethora of flying cars and all sorts of silly vehicles, but we like to sort of keep it like it could be done for real life. Everything that we try and do, there's an element of, that could actually be done. And that sort of magic is really difficult to capture because we spend months planning these videos and obviously editing them as well. But no, the magic is now using 5M, getting to lovely cinematics, and just so much planning. Like we are about to film, I think, the 4th episode, and we're still discussing what is the best challenge. It's not just, let's do this. It's let's do this. Well, what if we do this instead? And then it's just, you just go down a rabbit hole of different ideas on how to drive a car. It's so stupid, but no, that magic is something that is difficult to capture, and I'm really happy with it. Yeah,
fair enough. Yeah, it's as I mentioned, it's definitely quite impressive. So,
thank you.
Yeah, so yeah, I don't think I wouldn't realize it would take months to plan that sort of thing. I don't think anyone else watching it would realize that either. But
It's really long. Like if we were to make these videos just gameplay based, I could upload these weekly. So easy. Just, let's drive these cars. That's the thing. When I tried to make Forza I did like a Grand Tour spin-off on Forza, and it didn't do as well, which, all right, that's fine. I enjoy making content. But when it came to making the videos, I wasn't enjoying it as much because it was literally just drive car from point A to point B, and there was no cinematic tools to sort of make it look visually interesting. It's just gameplay.
Yep.
And it's a much more limited, like a sandbox like Grand Theft Auto gives you so much more opportunities for creation. But it's a tricky process, and I don't think it would work with every game. And I think because it's not just gameplay, it's got that sort of USP that a lot of other content, if to be made like Top Gear on Grand Theft Auto, doesn't necessarily have. It's tricky.
Yeah, I didn't realize that you have access to all those sort of tools at the game, and there'd be such this big sort of community behind making sure you can make all this cinematic shots. It's quite. I didn't realize that was a thing. So.
Yeah, it's probably a small community, and I think that's why when I always ask for it to be in a game like Forza, I want this replay tool. There are people that are just like, why? Because I'm not going to use it, and it's tricky. I understand from like a developer's point of view to bundle this dev toolkit into a nice user face and to make sure that it doesn't break the game. It'll be tricky. So it's more of just like I'd really want than a need, but. I think the more games that offer creative tools, it will only enhance the probably the selling point of the game, but also the longevity of it, because it's just a way of promoting the game. Really, if you're making nice content with cinematic tools, you're basically just making free marketing for them. So I don't see a downside to it, other than it probably will take time for the devs to implement the feature.
Yeah, and that's always sort of is it going to pay off for the cost of developing that and the time and bug fixes and that sort of thing. So yeah, it's well, hopefully they do at some point. There's no way you could sort of, because I know Forza's on the PC now. There's no way you could sort of modify.
I don't think so. They've got quite a strict sort of policy with the modding. I know there was a dev kit of Horizon 3 that made its way onto some forum a few years ago, and people were able to like mod buses and stuff and make custom cinematics. There's glitches and works around that you can sort of do, but the process of doing that glitch takes about, let's say, 2 minutes, and to do that over and over again really adds up compared to something like The Crew, where you just push a button and you're in a replay editor mode capturing the last 10 minutes of your gameplay. So yeah.
And with Ian and Sam that you do the show with, how did you meet those two guys?
I have only met those guys. They aren't like friends from school. I've met them purely through the internet, and it's a coincidence because thankfully they live miles away from me, because I think we wouldn't be friends if we did live close. No, I'm joking. So they live up north and I live down south. So I met Sam through live streams back in the day. When he was just a wee baby, tiny man, and I nursed him and grew him up to be this wonderful human being that hasn't left my side. I can't get rid of him. But no, he joined me back in my live streams, and I think I joined his lobby by accident, and we started playing games together, and then a sort of, dare I say the word, friendship blossomed from that. Ian, on the other hand, he messaged me during the production of, I think it was the second season of Top Gear. So it was me, Sam, and one of our friends, Ryan, who was making the content, and he messaged saying, "Oh, this is really good. Would love to collaborate." Me, being the docile numpty that I am, didn't see his message and ignored it for all of about a year. To which then, when we were making Gear Knobs, we saw Ian's channel that was also making a sort of Top Gear parody called Low Gear, and I messaged him being like, I would love to collaborate. It would be great to get you on the show, sort of thing, because we didn't want to do like a star and a reasonably priced car segment with Gear Knobs. We wanted to do our own take on it, which was to bring the YouTube guests into a segment like a car chase or a taxi challenge, where we had to sort of, taxi them around. So we brought them in for that. And I think we then filmed the video with them, and then we got them back in to help us with the video. And there was a sort of back and forth narrative And he has now not left my side. He hasn't got many friends, so I can understand why that is. Poor guy. Yeah. I'm so mean. I'm a horrible person. Ian has definitely... He's got more than one friend. He's got me and Sam, so, he's not that lonely.
Oh, no. And then that's sort of... You mentioned other creators as well. That sort of lends me on to sort of... I think he stopped uploading for a while, and that lends me on to, as I said, there's a guy called, I can't remember his actual name, but Hampyro, I think.
Oh yes, I know.
Yeah, and that show, I remember they did an episode during lockdown, I think, and then you were a guest on that, and yes. I know he's stopped uploading since, and it might be just that, as you mentioned, like you get burnout from it, and I guess you've had that problem.
Yeah. So I speak to Zach every so often. He's also recently gone into Formula One, so that's nice to sort of have that mutual interest, so we can talk about that. But no, we met through collaborative efforts on Top Gear. And in terms of what he's doing now, I'm not too sure. I can't answer that. I genuinely don't know. But from my point of view, with content creation, is burnout's horrid. Like, I want to upload. I'd upload every day, every minute of the day if I could. But when a new game comes out, mainly Forza, and the lovely people there will give me a review code a week or so early, and I'm able to orchestrate like a month's worth of content. I grind that game non-stop for all of like 2 weeks. And obviously, being a smaller channel, you want to make sure that you're covering every aspect possible, just in case one of those clips goes viral and you get in a load of new followers and a load of new viewers, because you're then getting revenue and you're getting exposure. So for you, you're winning, and then for the game, they're getting their game out there. More people are getting eyes on their content. So it's a win-win. The problem with that is, as I mentioned, 2 weeks straight just playing the game, editing the game, talking about the game, it really gets quite heavy. And then when you have that period of starting to upload the content where the game comes out, you've then got to think, right, that's great, but now I've got to start making more content to keep up with this. And I sound maybe so self-entitled and selfish, but I do think mental health is a big part with content creation. And I think a lot of content creators do get burnout. And especially when, you're editing these big clips or lots of videos. Bigger YouTubers now tend to have editors for them.
Yep.
So the pressure is less on the creator, but that's not to say that they will still get burnt out on recording videos every day. Not being able to touch grass, I can imagine gets quite annoying, because you just want to do, other things other than just creation. And that brings me back to what I was saying earlier on. With this being a hobby, when you get burnt out, it sucks so much, because you want to make content, but you just, I don't know, you can't think, you get like writer's block. And I do think that year off was pretty good. I was worried about coming back, whether or not the channel would do good. But thankfully, the latest episode we did with the business cars, I planned a marketing little plan with trailers and teasers and community posts, and it's gone down way better than I could have anticipated. I was literally aiming for around maybe 10,000 views. That was sort of my goal, and it's done much better than that. And I can't thank someone like yourself who's watching it, and everyone else enough, because taking that year off now feels justified.
Yeah, that's important.
And I would encourage creators to do that. It's daunting. Maybe a year is a bit extreme, but definitely take time off for yourself if you can. Easy.
Yeah, it's very, very important, and it's a topic that needs to be talked about more, but necessarily, well, it is lately, but not as much. But I guess that problem, if you are doing it as a full-time job, taking that time off, it's not that much of an option. But that must be even more difficult.
It's like we're both doing this for a hobby.
Yeah.
Like if we had a full-time work schedule where you wake up at, say, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, you start filming a video, and then by 9, 10, you're then having like breakfast, you're then back filming another video, or you're starting to edit that then until the rest of the evening, where you would then upload it. If this was like daily uploads, say. But then you've got content creators that will make sort of big form videos over a space of a few weeks. And that's sort of the genre niche I'm going to try and hopefully break into, because I quite like the idea of having more time to put all that effort into one massive video. But that's an entirely different conversation altogether. But I've completely gone off track with what I was saying. But no, it's a tricky one to balance that personal life and YouTube as a hobby, or if it were to be a job. I think I'm back on track now with what I was saying. You know, that day in, day out sort of cycle. With a normal job, you can book time off. You know, you get Christmas off, you get your birthday off, and all that stuff. But with YouTube, you'd have to sort of make content in advance. So that's putting you under more pressure in less time to have. Then you have 2 weeks off, your videos go out, but then when you come back, you're back to square one. Like there's no sort of respite. As such, and I think that's the tricky bit, where bigger channels may have a luxury of having more people to carry the weight, where smaller creators would sort of have to do all of it, because you're a graphic designer, you're a writer, you're a video editor, you're a marketer, you're so much. And you know, this is done by big companies, and as one person, I think, yeah, it's a tricky skill set, but it's good.
Yeah,
good to do.
I had a guest. This episode's, well, the time people are watching this, the whole season 3 will be out. But I had a guest on who is an automotive journalist. He was mentioning that in the car journalist space, the people that are coming up that are necessarily influencers, they're sort of doing everything themselves. He's saying they put so much work into what they do, and a lot of more traditional people in the industry don't realize that the people that are doing stuff on their own, they're working incredibly hard.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I can imagine, especially being I've got the luxury of sitting in my pants playing a game, but when you're like reviewing a car, do you have a cameraman? Like, is that something that you have? Because otherwise, how do you get the exterior shots, which as a car journalist is like gold, as I imagine. Like visually, an external shot is so much nicer than, you know, an interior camera. So you need to do sound, you need to do lighting, you need to do, you know, it's a full production, but it's a one-man show. And you know, I've got so much respect for car journalists, because it's a big market. And to be able to do all of that, yeah, it's a lot. And I think the sooner manufacturers realize that, maybe the space will change. I don't know. But it's a lot. And I can imagine it being quite difficult.
Yeah. Definitely. That I was getting to the point where there's still even what you do, like there's still a lot of, I might imagine a lot of people don't realise there's a lot of work that goes into it. So it's definitely, yeah. I just want to touch on, you mentioned a little while ago that your the actual channel was hacked. About 4 or 5 months ago. Was this during your time? This was during your time off, wasn't it?
Yeah. So this was during the process of around January, we were planning season 3 of GTA Top Gear, so we knew it was going to come back. We were sort of debating whether or not to do a Gear Knob season 2, but I wanted Ian to get involved, and I felt like Gear Knobs was me and Sam, so Top Gear would make more sense with 3 presenters. So we were planning all the content. I've been editing it, and I've been doing like community posts, sort of building up to a teaser. And I was recently made redundant at the time, so I was sort of looking for more employment, and they must have seen something, because the email timing was way too convenient. It was for it was a fake email by someone who pretended to work at DaVinci, the editing software.
Yep.
Basically saying like, "Hi, Vintage Method," or they didn't say Vintage Method. It was like, "Hi, Tom. Something about your YouTube channel, like, oh, this video is good, this video is good." It was quite a personal email, and it didn't seem as suspicious as some of the other ones that you get. It's like, "Hi, Vintage Matthews, I loved your insert video title here, and I think you would be great to be an ambassador for X product." So no, they said, you seem like a keen editor. We'd like to pay you to do a promotion with DaVinci Resolve, and you know, I've had paid partnerships in the past. I've worked with BenQ and you know, and obviously Microsoft with Forza. So I've had emails, and it did sort of seem quite similar to that. And then at the bottom, it had a link to their website, so it all seemed quite official. So I responded being like, "Yep, I'm happy to do this. Send over what you want me to cover, any details and whatnot. And then they sent a PDF file that wasn't a PDF file, and that's when alarm bells started ringing. I then decided if I rename it as a PDF file, maybe I can open it. Open the PDF file, nothing happened on my computer. I thought nothing of it, and I just thought, well, they've buggered that up. I'm going to go out for a bit. So I left. I can't remember what I was doing that day. I think I needed to go to the bank or something. I remember basically I was in Tesco's, big Tesco's. Everyone loves big Tesco's. And I had a phone call off my mate, George, who lives up north. And he never calls me. We only really speak on Discord. So him ringing me was like, all right, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, your channel's been hacked. I was like, no, you're taking the mic. This isn't true. He's like, no, I'm serious. It's been hacked. So I then on my phone frantically tried to get into my YouTube channel. It said this profile is, you can't log in. Went to my channel, and then I saw Elon Musk talking about some crypto thing to like 40,000 people live. And I think what's more embarrassing is they got more live stream views than I've ever got before. So with my YouTube stats, because I'd been dormant for so long, you just had a massive spike. But I did get the revenue, so hackers, thank you. I did get a nice paycheck from that.
Oh, that's good then.
But yeah, enough to cover my petrol to Tesco's and back. But still, yeah, thankfully, I've been able to collaborate with content creators in the past. And there was another guy that actually made GTA Top Gear, Jack Ultra Gamer, now Jack Ultra Motive. His channel got hacked about a month prior to me. So I messaged him being like, hey, mate, what did you do? Any help would be advised. And he was really great, being really helpful, sort of offering me advice on like how I can do that and such. Also, AR12, Nick, he's been great to sort of helping me with my YouTube path. And I messaged him and he was like, oh, get into contact with these people. So both of those were very helpful at the time, and as well as like my mates as well, who were like scouring the internet to find forums and threads that I could try and find and get into contact with community support. It was a really tricky process, and it was a really long, I think it was like 3-4 days. It was about a week. It was horrid because, as I mentioned, it's a 10th year anniversary this year. It's a passion project. It's not my job. I do this as a hobby, and all my videos that I've spent hours upon making just gone. That moment made me realize I still want to make content. It often takes something bad to happen for you to sort of change your outlook on things. Like it may take you to have a health scare in order for you to change your diet. And this sort of thing was like an awakening, like, oh crap, yeah, I want to do this. I don't want all this content to go away. I don't want it to stop. So got the channel back, and that's when I sort of started making some videos again as like a comeback. And yeah, here we are, present day, with the channel now back with its sub count and videos. There's a few that I've left privatized that I don't think many people are going to miss. But no, it was pretty scary. So yeah, don't accept emails from strangers offering you to review DaVinci Resolve. That's my takeaway. It's, I'm 26. My nan gets phoned up being like, oh, I'm a prince from Arabia. Here's $1 million that I'd like to put in your bank account. And then I'm telling her like, oh, don't be stupid, be sensible on your phone and don't accept scams. And then there's me getting flipping scammed. So yeah, maybe I'm not the best to promote internet safety, but I'm learning. Yeah. I've learned my lesson.
Well, earlier this year, I think it was last year or earlier this year, LTT got hacked. It's exactly the same process.
Yeah.
The PDF thing. So
the way that it works is that so from what my very basic understanding of it is, and I'm going to explain this in as basic as form as possible. The PDF wasn't a PDF file. I opened that, and they got through into my Google Chrome extension and tabs and cookies and all that.
Yep.
Through that, then they got into my Gmail. And then from that, they got access to my YouTube channel. And obviously, because I had, 70,000 subscribers, they knew that then that audience would see that in their sub feed and possibly get invested into a crypto scam. But it makes no sense because I haven't uploaded in a year. And why the hell would I come back with a live stream promoting crypto? But I don't know if it does work for some people. I'm not too sure what they benefit from the hack. But it's it's the fact that it's still common and YouTube still has this happen makes me like furious that they haven't updated their security and systems in a long time. And the communication process was all right. Sure, they helped me, but getting into contact with YouTube support, waiting hours for a reply. As I mentioned, this was my hobby. For those like LTT who it is their job, that is their business. Like it's like the BBC going down. It's like ITV. Again, I need to stop talking about the BBC. I'm going to start talking about Channel 4 for the rest of this. But yeah, it's losing that is scary, and the fact that hack is still going on. And I bet you could probably go on YouTube now and find someone that has been like overtaken by this crypto thing. It's
Well, it's good that they managed to cover all the videos they deleted, and
it's a bit of a pain in the ass because you do have to go into all the videos, and a lot of the videos that I uploaded before YouTube changed, they didn't have an option for is this made for kids, yes or no, because then it goes into YouTube Kids or not. And obviously all my content, whilst it is kid friendly, you always put no because you don't want it to go on the YouTube Kids app, so it's not made for kids. But I had to do that with all my old videos, otherwise they won't get pushed out as much. But no, it's painful process, but we're done. We're there.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Just before we wrap up, I just want to, if you got any, I always ask this question to everyone. Have you got any advice for anyone looking to get into making the type of content you make, or just any videos in general, and what kind of things you've learned?
Yeah, it's I need to be positive now. I just don't do it. Don't bother. Just do something else.
Yeah, positive stuff, please.
It's something. If it's something that you enjoy, you should go for it. And I think my philosophy with YouTube is two things. One, try. I don't know. This is a really difficult thing, but try and make something original. Try and do something that maybe no one has done before. I think that's why video essays tend to do so good, or challenges. Again, in GTA, which is sort of my bread and butter of a game. Try and think of challenges that are unique and haven't been done before, because that will garner interest. Like something that's new is so hard to come by on YouTube these days. But if you can come up with a new concept or an idea for a video series, don't just do a let's play. Don't just, do a review. Try and add something unique to it that only you have that others don't. And then secondly, my advice is if someone's already doing something that you want to do, try and make it better than that, because as I mentioned, there's so many GTA Top Gears out there. But I wanted to try and make the best one. And, who am I to say that it's the best or not? That's left to personal opinion. But that's sort of what my work ethic has been. I wanted to make the best possible version of this video series. And also just, it is somewhat unique. It's GTA and Top Gear. You could do it with other things. If you liked Mythbusters, I think people have done Call of Duty and Mythbusters. If you can sort of get a hybrid of content or come up with something unique, and then you put in like 110%, and you just need that lucky break. You get that one break, and then I think that's when you'll get a high from it then. Like if your video is getting pushed on recommended, or, don't set yourself goals of, I'm going to get 1,000 subscribers in a month and I'm going to get X amount of views in so much time. I think that will only lead to upset. I think you should do it purely for yourself and entertainment purposes to start with. Make something that you would watch and go, wow, I really like that. I that's I'm terrible at life advice.
That's pretty good. So don't set yourself sort of the lofty goals, and you'll end up being disappointed. I
think that's the big takeaway is that I know I for myself have sort of had to teach myself, like, don't set the bar too high, because you're only gonna fail if you do that, unless on the one-off chance your video goes ridiculously viral. Also, don't be afraid to make YouTube shorts. That's the other thing I'd say. Like, YouTube's algorithm is nuts, but short form content at the moment is huge. So if you do want to sort of get people into your channel, don't be afraid to make short form content, and also use other sites that will then bring audiences into your sort of main content on YouTube. Like if you're making TikToks, make sure, they're being linked to YouTube, where that you've got this huge ecosystem.
Yep.
But yeah, short form content is something that I've recently sort of stepped into, like creation wise, because it's this huge new sphere of ways of making content. But yeah.
Thanks for joining me on the Creator Spotlight podcast, Tom. It's been really good to talk to you about what you make and do online. If people want to find out more information about what you make and do, where can they find you?
They can find me on YouTube at Vintage Matthews. They can find me on Instagram at Vintage Matthews. And they can find me on Twitter or X or whatever the name of the software is going to be by the time this goes out live. It'll be called another letter by then. But you can find me on Twitter /X. And also Vintage Matthews. Those are my 3 platforms.
Awesome.
If you want to stay up to date with my ramblings and shenanigans.
Fantastic. You can find out more information about the interface at theinterface.uk. We've got lots of car reviews, podcasts, and all sorts of content coming out. As I said, thanks for watching and listening to this podcast, and thanks for joining me.